The power of temptation and addiction is crazy. Temptation is a constant battle that everyone that I've ever known, anyone in this world, goes through on a day to day basis. But then once you add addiction on top of that, more specifically talking about drug and alcohol addiction, it's 100 times harder. People feel that addiction is your choice, which it is. And when people make that choice, that one choice, it is crazy how that one choice can determine your life. That one drug can really make a difference in your life. That one drug can make you choose from doing something good and bad. But in their minds, they don't know what's going on at that time. They think it's okay. They want to feel better. So they're going to go with the drugs or the alcohol or whatever the addiction is to make them feel better, because if they don't, they know they're not going to feel good still, because they already know that this is going to work even though it's not healthy. It's going to work. And what do you know in your life that you know is going to be 100% better before you do it? There's nothing, really. There's nothing that you could predict in the future. But for addicts, they think that they know that drugs are going to make them feel better. They know that drink's going to make them feel better. They know that addiction to not so good things is going to make them feel better. And that is the whole moral of the reason on why they end up doing it. So, according to the National Institute on Drug Abuse, drugs excite the parts of the brain that make you feel good. But after you take the drug for a while, the feel-good parts of your brain get used to it. Everyone wants to feel good in life, and everyone wants to feel that they are worthy and that they are successful with their lives. And some people think that drugs are that for them, and it's not. But then you add temptation onto that, and you have temptation and addiction over here, and that's going to swoop in, and it's going to want to kick all your morals and your beliefs and your what you have going positive for you, because you have the devil on this shoulder, and then you have the angel on this shoulder saying, go to work, go to school, go take care of your responsibilities, take care of your kids. And then you're having the temptation and addiction of, I want that drink, I want that cigarette, I want those drugs, I want to shoot up. And it's just going back and forth, back and forth. So it's very difficult to make that decision. And I could tell you this because both my sister and I have had a very extensive childhood trauma. And we both each handled it in our own toxic ways. That may sound horrible, but it's the truth behind all of this. My sister, we were both sexually abused, and she took that to her way of healing was using drugs and using heroin and going out with guys and doing things like that. And she is still currently battling drug addiction, and it's a constant battle that she's battling because she has the temptation in drugs, and that's what makes her feel good and forget about what had happened 3 years ago. The same exact thing happened to me, just for longer, and I took that first, and I ended up selling myself. And I would go out and I'd do what I needed to do to make ends meet. That was my job, and I knew deep down that wasn't okay, but after that moment, I had no self-worth, and I felt like that was the only way to make me feel good about myself, because that's all I had known. Once I realized that wasn't a good idea, I ended up contemplating suicide. I was very depressed. I was not feeling good about myself. Friends were abandoning me. Everyone was abandoning me. I was so lonely. I had to quit a job due to illness. My health was going down. Just everything was spiraling down at one time, and it felt like my world was crumbling. So I felt like that was my escape route. That was a temptation. That was the devil on my shoulder saying, do this. This is what you need to do to get over this. When in reality, I should have been looking towards the Bible. I should have been looking towards support groups. I should have been looking towards more positive ways to handle what I had gone through. To sum up all of that, being addicted to drugs is a very dangerous place to be. And it's 10 times harder to get out of it than people that have never used drugs understand. Especially the ones like heroin and meth and things like that. Those drugs specifically, they have the addictive power after one shot. After one shot, you're addicted and you want to go back to that feeling because it feels so good. And you could be clean for 3 months and shoot up and you are right back to square one. And it's just a constant battle again with the addiction and the temptation. And it's your mind literally battling with yourself and your body of what to do and what to choose to do. And there is a book that I read. So it's called Unraveled, Managing Love, Sex, and Relationships. And it has been a very positive book. And it has a bunch of scientific facts, a bunch of help workbook so you can write down and journal and actually answer the questions yourself. But one part that really stood out to me was when it was talking about the neurochemistry of addiction. And this is specifically headed towards drugs and sex addiction and self-harm and things like that. Things that you choose to do, but the neurochemistry in your brain is thinking different in that point. So it starts off with, this week we're going to focus on understanding the neurochemistry of addiction. It's not enough that we recognize how our behaviors and thought life create problems in relationships. To gain lasting sobriety from any destructive behavior, we have to learn what's happening in our brain so we can initiate change from the inside out. The neurochemistry that happens in our brains during that time is very confusing because we don't understand what's going on in our brains, and there's just chemicals constantly going on in our brains, and then we're adding chemicals by using drugs or using the sexual addiction or using suicide to help with those dark thoughts. And sometimes we don't know how to change those or what to do about them, and I can tell you from experience, it's not the right road to go down to. You don't want to go down that road of addiction. And yes, it'll make you feel good in that moment while you take that hit, while you take that drink, while you make that cut. It's going to feel good because it's a different pain that you're used to. My pain was abandonment. I didn't want to feel abandoned. So therefore, I sold my body. So I used sex as a way to get over that. I used cutting to get over that. My sister, on the other hand, used drugs. So we are finding ways to feel pain in different ways, so we did not have to feel pain in that way that was terrifying to us. So now it's just figuring out a positive way to find how to deal with that. And I have been doing tremendously better, and for the past 6 months now, I've been getting counseling. I'm doing self-love workbooks. I'm journaling every night. I'm making positive lists, and I'm also making negative lists. And the negative list I'm reviewing every single night during the day, and I'm going to check off the ones that are done, the things that I cannot control. I cannot control if someone leaves me, so therefore I'm going to check it off because there is nothing I can do about that. So me dwelling on it is not going to do anyone any good. It's going to put me in a very depressive state, and I already know I have the ability to go in a dark place, so I'm going to avoid that. In conclusion, we all have things we struggle with in life, and also things that are very hard to give up. But when we do find those addictions, we need to take an action plan, like I just discussed, a positive action plan. And we can all save ourselves a lot of trouble if we just take the time to breathe, if we take the time to sleep on it. If we do that, we could have a lot more positive outcomes than we do negative. Thank you.